Hey everyone, welcome. I am coming at you live from my phone today. We have the technology. Of course, my internet popped out right before we got on, but yay, we have technology. We have my phone. Hello, everybody. Let me know in comments, depending on what live stream you're coming in from, where you are calling in from today. I'm excited. We have with us Ms. Meghan Hambacher Wilkinson, who's, first of all, she's just really cool. We met about 3 years ago when we did a training for CenturyLink. But since then, she has been promoted and is now the Chief Revenue Officer at Telarus. So we're going to talk a little bit about being a woman in technology at such a high level. But she also is so cool. She's got so many different areas of expertise that she focuses on: disruption in technology, business and IT transformation, embracing change, driving sales and revenue growth, empowering women. She has been part of the thought leadership that helps companies transform, streamline, simplify, and drive friction out of their companies' processes, policies, systems. She's had leadership roles in big companies and startups. She's just super cool. I like her already. I hope you like her too. Let's bring on Meghan. All right. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Cool. Hi. I like it. I'm going to use the cool adjective from now on, Viveka.
Oh, yeah. She's super cool. Viveka says I'm cool. It's online, therefore it must be true.
There is true. Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, with all the Colorado love. I'm in Loveland, Colorado. You're in Denver, Colorado. We got some other Coloradans on the call. So right on.
I love it. Spread the Colorado love. Here we go.
Exactly. And a little bit, hi, Adam from New Jersey too. Jersey City. Awesome. Okay, so first question coming up now.
Okay.
We're talking today about driving sales and revenue growth. And, obviously there's been a pandemic. We've been working from home. Because one of the things you are all about is embracing change and, change and epic disruption. And there's nothing like a pandemic. Yeah. Talk about epic disruption. Like we haven't been disrupted like this before. How have you embraced these changes and yet still continue to drive sales and revenue growth? Because you kind of started at Telarus. Wasn't it just about the time that this started?
Sort of, kind of, but ongoing. So embracing. Listen, I embrace change every day. I love change. People that know me know that. It's a constant in my conversations. So there's a few aspects. I mean, I have the opportunity to work in something where we leverage technology every day, and the telecom industry was a fascinating place to be when everything hit over a year ago. So, I mean, how does Telarus embrace change in general?
Oh, thank you, Telarus. Sorry.
Telarus. No, it's okay. I just had to throw that in there.
Get the right pronunciation.
Hey, it just depends. Tomato. It depends on where you're from. So Telarus, however, yes. So,
Telarus, yes.
Embracing change. It's a great place to be when you have to think differently. And what I think the biggest part of how you continue to drive your growth and success, and however that fashion means, and for me, obviously, it involves numbers at the end of the day with our partners and our customers, is just becoming more human, honestly. I mean, we all had to pivot overnight. We all had to learn to accept our flaws and scars and nuances, and we had to show things in our homes that we've never shown before. I mean, I'm coming live from my home in Denver, and we got used to that. And I almost think bringing the human element into business in a different fashion than we had really helped perpetuate relationships in a more effective fashion that hadn't occurred before. I have the pleasure to work in a relationship business, and it's part of the why of what I enjoy, what I do constantly. But it really opened us to having different conversations. So you almost didn't focus on, hey, let's talk about the solution. It's how can we help you become more successful, given overnight, probably your strategic roadmap needs to change. And challenging the norm and the narrative is how you continue to be successful in a time that, made us all, listen, COVID didn't create the change. It just put the accelerant on change that was going to occur. It just did it in a very shorter time frame than we all thought was going to be possible. So we learned that it's possible in a very short time frame to go, how are we going to think about things? And you see it across all industries going on right now. Yeah. And those that capitalized on saying, cool, how do we think about it? And bringing together kind of almost fierce competitors, but saying, we've got to leverage each other to think differently about this.
Yeah,
so we can all be more successful together. So that's just something we kind of bring into our daily to day now. And I'm excited to see how it continues to evolve.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And I hadn't really thought of it that way. Obviously, we were going to go more towards digital, probably more towards working from home. But yeah, probably also in like a 10-year time frame, and maybe not as completely as we ended up doing. Sure. And just out of curiosity, is Telarus? I'm thinking Belarus, right? I think that's why I'm saying Telarus. Is Telarus, were you very much an office-based company? Were people already working from home?
It was, our headquarters are in Salt Lake City, but we are an international company. And so it's 50-50. So the sales and revenue organizations sit in their markets where they support their partners and customers. But yeah, the day-to-day operations and more of the corporate functions, call it marketing, etc. Sat in Salt Lake. So yeah, I mean, overnight the office became a vacant place, and we had to pivot of how that. But the beauty is, we have technology to be able to do work from home. So yeah, it was good.
Boy, I wish I had invested in Zoom early on.
Oh, hindsight is always 2020, isn't it?
Right. And I love what you said about the humanizing factor, because of course, before it, it was like, we can't have children. I mean, it was like, you can maybe have pictures of your children on your desk, but God forbid they come into frame while you're, talking to a client, or the dog barks or whatever. Now it's everything. It's my 94-year-old father walking in the middle of a live, right? It's just bringing me breakfast one time. That was very nice.
I like that. That's good.
And I think and you said it, it's this humanizing aspect is better. Can we talk about that a little bit more? Like, what are you seeing? How are people playing into it? Is it just like, what is happening with your sales force and your marketing force with that humanization?
Yeah. If I look at it really high level, we are more connected than we sometimes give ourselves credit for. And COVID is a great example of, it became a global pandemic overnight because of something from countries very far away from us, that an airplane took somebody to the United States and everywhere else, and all of a sudden. And so it's like, we are actually incredibly connected as a global community. And so you start to understand that and think about it daily. You go, well, gosh, we're probably not as different as we think. And there's probably elements to trying to find some sort of connection that helps us become more successful, quote unquote, and whatever that means. And so, personally, for me, I don't like to bring personal to business. It's just an uncomfortable thing. And there was a non-negotiable for that, for a lot of reasons. But yeah, so it creates conversational talking points that you're like, oh, I didn't know like I have a piano in my office, and oh, I didn't know you play music. And suddenly you start to find some commonality, and that's what creates the networking. Because if you're going to be successful in anything you do, human beings want to talk to each other about certain things. You don't always have to agree. You don't always have to like each other at the end of the day. I would call it outside of work. That's fine. Right. But it helps you to have some compassion for the fact we're all going through different things. We all come from different fabrics and walks of life. And so for my team, it really started to say we're international, yet a lot of international sometimes focuses on North America, but it expanded how do you find commonalities across the international landscape? And then even within each of the regions within the States, there's a lot of commonalities they can talk about. So it's a sharing of best practices. We're all more successful together if we kind of come as one unified vision as a team. So it's been fun to see. And it's still, is it perfect? No, it will never be perfect. Humans aren't perfect. No. So, right. But it does bring up different kinds of topics that you talk about. And I think that's a good thing. I think it enables you to listen to a bit better because you just stop for a moment and you start to learn something new. And I think we were moving at a clip and a pace. And listen, we're moving at a clip and a pace that's very fast, but we now pause within that pace because we realize, man, it's pretty important to listen. So Yeah.
I remember, a year ago going, wow, this is the first time, even considering world wars, this is the first time that every human is experiencing the same thing.
Sure.
Right. And it's, we, at the same time, like we all experience, some people experience hunger, some people experience homelessness, some people experience warmth, some people experience great success, but never all at the same time. And that kind of, to your point, that humanization, that world experience, I think allowed for some understanding that we didn't have before. So how do we take what's good from the experiences and empower not just our sales people, but empower all of our employees moving out of the pandemic and into the new normal?
New normal. It's never going to go back to what it was before. So how when I look at personally how we change things up, obviously we need to get back into the markets and the interaction face to face. I love technology, and there is no replacing face-to-face interactions. It's a non-negotiable. So can agree or disagree with me, but that's my philosophy. So we'll change it up. I don't think it ever goes back to everybody's super comfortable all the time. And we've also learned that we can operate in a work from home environment and still be incredibly successful. So you're going to continue to see the work from home element, but people will go out and want to interact face to face. And so I think what you take away from the goodness of what's going on is challenging that we're never going to go back to what was. And I think that's going to be a little difficult for some. But so what we do with a lot of our partners and customers is say, great, what was your strategic business plan and how you thought how that morphs? And if you haven't thought how it morphs, can we challenge you on what types of conversations you're having, what you think your growth plan looks like, and what kinds of products and solutions are going to fit those equations? Because if we don't help challenge those questions and ask the whys and some of the difficult things that people probably don't want to talk about, then it's not going to make them more successful. And if we don't do that, then we don't become more successful. So I think as a society too, we just need to continue to ask, listen, and learn, because it helps all of us at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So give us some examples. It's okay to talk about your company and what you do, because I would love to hear some examples, of how you're working with your clients and how you're navigating this change.
Sure. Telarus focuses on selling telecom and technology every day, and we have a broad supplier portfolio that we talk with our partners about. And some are very nuanced on what parts of that portfolio they want to focus on, and others are talk about my exit strategy in 10 years and everything. So we talk at different levels. But for instance, if somebody's been selling an advanced service like CCAS or UCAS, and they've been doing it the same way their entire life,
right?
It's changed. UCAS definitely changed last year. We all are well aware of that. You mentioned Zoom earlier, but that entire portfolio has changed. But there's a blending going on in a gray area. So we start to say, well, how do we solve the entire solution for you, and what kinds of products have we not talked about? But first, step back and don't talk about the widgets, talk about the business strategy that we're trying to solve for your customers at the end of the day. Because work from home, you still leverage the same types of products. You're just going to do it in a different fashion now going forward. So we start there. We also focus on how do we think about the financing options, given probably things have changed. You might not be going to an office anymore. You might be more successful because you pivoted your strategy last year and now you want to hire people, or you want to leverage us in a different way, so we can effectively support you more. So we talk a lot about those types of things now going forward. And then a lot of, our conversation arise of, why are you doing what you're doing, and what do you want to do in the next 5 to 10 years? Because that's, as Telarus, we are a master agent in the channel. And so part of our philosophy is we have to ensure that we are in lockstep with our elite and strategic partners of what does that success mean to them. And we're in this long-term with them. So how can we help them be more successful? Because at the end of the day, then we all are in the right space to go forward.
It's interesting. I mean, we're obviously completely different industries, companies, but both of our companies are the same in that, we had to pivot super quick because our clients' success depends on how quickly we were able to pivot and how, we were able to change and how we were able to bring them solutions within weeks. Like a lot of companies had weeks or months, or are just starting the pivot now as we're moving into the quote new normal. But Telarus had to, and Vengreso had to go, okay, it's Monday, there's no pandemic. It's Tuesday, there's a pandemic, there's a lockdown, everything's changed. How can we serve our audience? And I mean, they're very, very lucky to have you because you thrive on this. How instrumental were you in this shift at Telarus?
Well, I got to join at the beginning the beginning of this year. So, the 3 owners they're just rock stars at the end of the day. And fundamentally, it took the entire organization to come together. Culture is at the forefront of everything we do as a company. And so, all 200 plus employees said, here's what we're going to do. And first, we're going to care for our people, because if our people are set up to be successful, then they can successfully serve out our partners and our customers at the end of the day. And so that was really pivotal. And we had to listen and we had to understand what mattered to some, and the level of comfort across those, given the change going on. And now, my role is to continue to challenge that, but also maintain that cultural element of, as we're going back into face-to-face interactions, and we're going to start having the live engagements going forward in the regions as they all open up, ensuring that we're collectively caring for that going forward, because I think people have changed. I just think how people show up, interact, what we're wearing even has kind of changed, kind of lessened the, listen, I love to wear suit coats and I wear black all the time and blah, blah, blah. But I do think we've had a little bit of an appreciation for, gosh, a lot of facets of our day-to-day have changed. And so my role is to continue to push us and get a little uncomfortable at times, so we can continue to challenge and be successful together, and appreciate that it takes the entire unit to do that at the end of the day. So we have to be.
I think the discomfort, I love that you brought that up, because, you know, everyone wants to be happy and life is good and yay, everything's so great. But there's a very little growth there. And I love that you brought up discomfort, because I think we have to be uncomfortable in order to grow. I think we have to step outside of those comfortable boundaries in order to grow. Of course, COVID forced us, many of us, into that. And you thrive on it. You thrive on change. So what are some more things? And then I have one more question. Yes, we have time. Good. What are some more things that people have to understand about pushing boundaries, about growth? What are some of the things that you try to instill in your folks?
Yeah, I think, how would I answer this correctly? So life is not about always having fun. You have fun because you become stronger if you appreciate what life hands you, and you have, this, I have quotes behind me. As you can tell, I'm a quote person at the end of the day, but yeah, you can sit there in this one or this one. I'm like, which way am I going?
Yeah, exactly.
You can sit there and kind of argue about the cards you've been dealt or how you can't change it at the end of the day. Like, you cannot go back and change. So all that we have the opportunity to do is to sit and say, I might be having an off day. Listen, change is hard. I don't wake up every day and think, oh, sunshine and roses and it's easy. But if you embrace the grace and you understand the gratitude in the equation, and there's silver linings all day long, then you're able to kind of, again, say, cool, like, let's go and continue to be uncomfortable, because the uncomfortable is actually fun. I don't actually think it's fun being stagnant, because I think it brings more risk into your equation than most realize. And so for me, I kind of talk to the team about, as long as you're uncomfortable in a fashion that isn't bringing more risk or more kind of fear, it's okay. Like, fear is good. Like, thrive off of that, leverage that, and understand you don't have to do it alone. Like, I think that was a really hard part, and continues to be a hard part, is when we had to go into lockdown last year, is, there's a lone element that now thrives in our culture that admittedly has to go away, because humans are not supposed to, like, just be single beings at the end of the day. And that's that getting out and face-to-face time interaction. But I just challenge them to step back and go, listen, guys, you put on different clothes every day. You probably change up what you eat every day. So we're here to collectively care for it. And business is a good place to get super uncomfortable, because what's the worst that could possibly happen? You fail. Great. Right. Then don't do it the same way twice, please. Yeah. Go out and fail. Go out and fall. Go out and change out how we do things. And bring the opportunity to the conversation instead of saying, so that's kind of how I usually approach.
I love that. We had Andrea Walls on about a month ago. She's the author of Go for No. And that was it. It was like, what's the worst that you can happen? You fail. And I love what you said. Just don't do that same thing again.
We all fail. I failed lots of times in my life. I'll probably fail at some point today. It's fine.
Probably at some point. Exactly. And I remember, and I also love what you said about discomfort, because I remember, we're both speakers, and I remember someone, I can't remember who it was, but I was nervous going on stage, and they're like, well, instead of like seeing that as being nervous, like, just think of it as excitement. It's actually the very same feeling. Yeah. You can name it nervousness and fear, or you can name it excitement. So, name it excitement and let it energize you. And for salespeople, like, before you're picking up that phone or you're doing your video message for the first time, don't frame that as fear, frame it as excitement, because here's something new that we get to do, and we get to grow, and we get to maybe succeed. We get to be wildly successful potentially. Yeah. So I love that. And I also love, you mentioned it a couple of times now, how important culture is to a company. And
yeah,
I think the companies that were able to pivot and succeed, like both of our companies during this time, is because company culture is absolutely foremost, and taking care of our employees is absolutely foremost. And that's the support. That is the support that people need in order to thrive.
Yep.
So what, and obviously I'm setting up the next question. What are some of the baselines for moving into this new normal?
People are fundamental to your success, period, end of story. If you don't believe it, then you're probably not going to be successful. And surrounding yourself with people that want to wake up and be good human beings is the next part of that. And I think most wake up with positive intent, and we're all going through things in life. And so I think that you bring that appreciation into it. But yeah, people are always part of any new normal going forward. And then you have to write it down. I think that if anything, if you don't write down where you want to go, I've written down personally where I wanted to go. I write down with the teams where we want to go. If you just talk about it at the acceleration that all the industries are going through right now, it's the foot is on the gas pedal. It's not coming off. So if anything about last year taught us something, it's you either have to thrive in constant change, or you need to surround yourself with people that thrive in it so you can kind of get uncomfortable but not have to be leading the charge. But if we stop and think things are just gonna like calm down, they're not. Because now we're coming out of, okay, we could do it, we thrived, we were successful, and now we're gonna skyrocket. So I think you have to bring that kind of thinking into this new conversation. And certain things aren't going to go away. There's still going to be things about humans and our societies that didn't get fixed overnight, and COVID's not going away. So we have to learn how to deal with things that will continue to pop up. There will be other issues and arenas that challenge the global community to think differently. So I think it's naive of us to think that, oh, hallelujah, we're coming out and we can see it. That's great. Like, appreciate that. And remember what we were before COVID and what we can be going forward. And I think if we bring that into the conversations now and care for those around us, then we're going to be fine. We're going to be successful. Things didn't go down.
Absolutely. And I was, when you said that, I that you write things down, and writing down goals is important. And I'm just wondering how many people January, wrote their year plan 5 months or vision boards.
Hey, listen, this is my vision board right behind me. I wrote it down. Every hexagon is a different thing. I update it constantly. I don't really believe in
update it last year.
I have to. You always have to update it, right? So write it down, and then when it changes, you need to write it down again, and you need to be okay with crossing it out, that didn't work, or this is something I didn't think about. But this stagnant thinking of refresh every year, that's slow. So you have to constantly be challenging yourself to go, okay, what do I need to do now? Yeah.
And I like this, Andrew. Oops, wrong one. There we go. There it is. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great. I love that quote too.
I don't have that particular quote on my quote board. I will tell you, I didn't get there by wishing or hoping for it, but by working for it. Right. So kind of similar.
Very similar.
But wish and hope is not a strategy at the end of it. So you have to get up and you have to work for it, and you have to write down what you're working for. So, yeah.
Well, and I have one more question. We only have 1 minute left, so I think we just have to back on. But you're at a very high level, obviously, Chief Revenue Officer. So woman plus revenue plus tech equals not many out there. We had Kathy Rowell on a few weeks ago with Genesis, but honestly, you and I were talking in the green room.
Sure.
You're often the only lady at the table.
Yeah, have been most of my career. I don't think of it like that. I think of it as I'm the individual that gets up and works her ass off and is badass, and I challenge the status quo, and I deserve to have a voice at the table regardless of my gender or my age or my title at the end of the day. And I think that those aspects have enabled my success, kind of going back to your, hey, you can use nerves as a good thing, or you can look at it negatively. And so I wake up and I challenge the norm. I challenge not ever getting put in boxes or being told how I need to do things in a, respectful fashion, of course. But, and yeah, there's things that we need to change the conversation and equation about. And I just think that if you are somebody that wakes up and goes, I am not enabled to be successful because of my gender or because of my race or because of my background that I come from, change your thinking. You absolutely can be. You need to surround yourself with people that are going to be your network. I did not get here by myself. I absolutely got here because of my network and because of writing down my game plan and writing down what matters to me. And I work damn hard every day to do it. And I'm surrounded by incredibly smart and talented individuals that believe in me. And so you can do anything you put your brain and mind to. Trust me. I write it down every day. I have a gratitude journal that does it. And I would love to not be the only woman at the table sometimes going forward. And the only way that's going to change is if we collectively try to challenge that and surround ourselves with diversity. So we owe that to each other.
Yeah, we had Hang Black on and we talked about the same thing. And Mario Martinez, our CEO, actually wrote a post about, why do we not hire more women salespeople? They're not willing to take the risk. And I think that's one of the reasons you have achieved such greatness in your career. You're a risk taker. You're okay with being uncomfortable. And I think more women have to do that. And just like, of course, I'm going to get this job.
Sacrifice. Keep it. We all do it. Anyone that quote unquote is successful in, an executive type of fashion has those types of nuances to them. Men do that sometimes better than women. We do it in different fashions, but I don't look at it as a gender thing. I just look at it as I challenge myself every day to be better. And I think anyone can do that. So don't blame your past. Don't blame where you come from. The only way is forward, and there's people around you that will help you get there. So
I love it.
Yeah.
The words from Ms. Meghan Hambacher Wilkinson.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being on today's live. You are amazing. We have to go have coffee sometime. I mean, we're an hour away from each other. I would love to meet you face to face too.
Let's do it. I appreciate the time. Hope everyone enjoyed it.
You are a rock star. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody who is on our live today, whatever channel you found us on. We are here about every other week. Just keep an eye out. We will notify you when we are up next. Thanks again to Meghan and everybody else. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter for those of you who celebrate Easter. Don't eat too many chocolate Easter eggs. All right. Bye, everyone.